Alright, Shalom, Shalom. This is the brother Mayum coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone, and much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth in its truth and sincerity. And just want to do a lesson on going into the vision that's being brought upon the earth. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this in Isaiah chapter 19. All right, because this is what the Lord sought out to do on the earth, is to bring about a division. And we're seeing more and more nations, more and more peoples, okay, being put or pitted one against another. Okay, and ironically, the ones that are being set apart from everyone else just so happens to be Esau Edom. Okay, Esau Edom, as you take a gander on the global scale, is making himself contrary to the world, and the world are separating themselves from these devils, specifically the West. Okay, and from the small hats, which the West is heavily tied to the small hats over there in the Middle East. Okay, and this is all nothing but the doing of the Lord, man. The scriptures talk about in 2nd Ezra chapter 9, when you shall see uproars of the people, earthquakes in diverse places, then shall you know or well understand that the Lord has begun to visit the earth which he made. Roughly paraphrasing the verse. Or like verse 4, verse 5. And we're seeing the uproars of the people, specifically on a national level, with nations in uproar and people of nations in an uproar with what's taking place out there in the Middle East currently. Okay, and with what you see happening right now, which as of a couple hours ago, it's come out that Turkey, all right, or Turkey however they've changed their name back to their original, or not original, but an old name of that nation, but they've come out and said that they've cut complete ties with the nation of Israel. Okay, again, further distancing themselves from these people, from the small hats. And this is all prophesied in the scriptures. Okay, specifically with mention of Turkey. Okay, but let me get this in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come onto Egypt, or into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." And again, we see this happening, not only here specifically in America, which is that spiritual Egypt spoken about, okay, in that precept, but we see that happening all over the earth. Okay, matter of fact, let's get what the Messiah said. Okay, Yahweh Shai. Matthew chapter 24, and his disciples, when you read from the top of this chapter, his disciples were curious as to when the Lord would return. How would they know? How would we know when you're returning? And Yahweh Shai, all right, went on to expound upon the things that would be taking place on the earth by giving the disciples the signs of the times. Okay, because he also stated and states in this chapter that no man knoweth the hour or the day. Not even the angels know, but only the Heavenly Father Yahweh knows the day that he's going to let loose upon the world, man. And we're seeing these things take place. So one of those verses, we'll start at verse 4, Matthew 24:4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, and we've seen the wars and rumors of wars for a long time. We've seen, starting, you can go all the way back to the independence wars that America fought. All right, the Spanish-American War, the French-American War, and the War of Independence from Britain. Okay, you had the Civil War that took place here in America not long after. Okay, you had the First World War. Okay, you had the Second World War. You had the Cold War, the Korean War. Okay, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, the war on drugs, which was really a war on you Israelites, man, because they were feeding you those drugs. The same government that called themselves being at war with the drugs coming into this company were the same ones bringing the drugs into this country. Ain't that something? Then you had the Desert Storm War, the Gulf Wars. Then you had the Iraqi freedom. Okay. You had and ever since, America's been out there in the Middle East. Okay, and it's been nothing but rumors of war since. Now you have war over there in Ukraine. You have war over there in the Middle East. You're about to have war over there with Taiwan and China. So it's nothing but straight chaos happening on the earth, man. And as you've noticed, as I went down that timeline, these wars have become more frequent. These rumors of wars have become more frequent. Now there's rumors of wars of World War III, which is going to take place very soon. Okay? But Yahushua continues to go on, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, man. This is what we see taking place. People rising up one against another. All right? And so with Turkey cutting ties with Israel, really shouldn't come as no surprise to those of you that believe, those of you that are in, that have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and have been around for some time. You should know that Turkey was bound to cut these ties, and they're gonna further cut their ties when they leave NATO. Okay, which they've been heavily into talks for some time now, which I think those talks resurfaced again, if I'm not mistaken, recently as well. All right. Well, who is Turkey aligning themselves with? Okay, with Russia, man. This is why right now, they're also in talks about doing, jumping over into Syria, cross-border operation. Okay? And you already know who's backing up Syria. Russia as well, man. Because there's a bunch of shit going on over there in Syria. And Turkey's, talking about wanting to help them out. But again, this is all prophesied. Let me get this in Ezekiel chapter 38. I'll just start at verse 1. It says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And now when you look at the land of Magog, okay, when you look at those ancient maps of where they were settled at, it's up there and what you would call those Russian nations, the USSR nations, okay, which today you would call the Russians, okay? So it says, and say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, man. And this is going into all their military guard, man, their weaponry, and all their armies with them, man. Okay, specifically those nuclear missiles. All right. But to make the point, the Lord is gathering these nations up, man. Okay. And it said, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Okay. And that's what the Lord has done to the Russians, man. And turned them back to that old spirit that they once had before, man. When they called themselves the USSR. The Lord is turning them back to have that same spirit. Hence the reason why they over there in Ukraine right now. Okay? But it goes on to say, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with him. And Gomer, you go into those maps of those ancient maps, and look at where Gomer was. That's modern day Turkey. Okay? And we've been seeing throughout the recent years, Turkey realigning themselves with Russia. Okay? Making ties with Russia. Matter of fact, they even received military equipment from Russia. But they're a part of NATO. But as we see now, they're further distancing themselves from that coalition, man. And this is what Yahushua is coming to do, man. This is why we see his spirit moving upon the earth. All right, let's get this in Luke chapter 12 real quick. Luke chapter 12 and verse 49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it already be kindled? But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I strained till it be accomplished? Verse 51, and again, this is still the Messiah speaking. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. And that couldn't be further from the truth today, man. Where the whole world is completely divided. Families divided. States divided. Nations divided. Countries divided. Conglomerates divided. You have these NATO groups, these EU groups, the G7 summit, all these top nations of the world that were once allied one with another, becoming divided, man. Turkey being the latest example of that. Which, like I just read in Ezekiel 38, that was already prophesied to happen, man. That really should come to no surprise that these guys in Turkey over there, man, are separating themselves from the small hats, which we know what the judgment is of Amalek, man. Those small hats, man, the Lord's got a special judgment for them, because alongside America, that land over there in the Middle East is going to get cleansed as well, man. America's going to get cleansed, since y'all have an issue with saying that America's going to be destroyed. Well, we're going to say America's going to be cleansed. How about that? See if that makes your tummy tickle. Okay, America and the Middle East, specifically that land over there where those small hats are at, is going to be cleansed, man, of all its wickedness. Okay? And eventually, even America's own allies are going to turn against her. Okay? And why is that? Because they're the America is causing nothing but chaos to happen on the earth, man. And these nations are going to realize that, as they are already. And they're going to, as it talks about in Revelation 17, they're going to shoot at her, man. They're going to shoot arrows going to those nuclear missiles, man. Let me read a little bit of this article, though. It says, Turkey severs all relations with Israel, says Erdogan. It says, Turkey has severed all ties with Israel. Turkish President Recep Erdogan announced on Wednesday. Erdogan made the comments to journalists aboard his plane following visits to Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, which Saudi Arabia is one of those nations that also divided itself from America by going over to the BRICS and selling their fuel and the petro yuan, and I believe also the ruble, which is the Russian currency. Okay? Where once upon a time, Saudi Arabian oil was only sold in the petrodollar, but now it's switched over. They've gone to using other currencies as well. Okay? So you see the president of Turkey going over there to visit. Again, going to making these ties with these nations that are clearly divided from the West. It says the government of the Republic of Turkey, under the leadership of Erdogan, will not continue or develop relations with Israel, Erdogan said. Our ruling coalition is resolute in its decision to cut ties with Israel, and we will maintain this stance in the future as well. We, as the Republic of Turkey and its government, have currently severed all relations with Israel. Despite imposing a trade embargo on Israel in May, Ankara continues to maintain diplomatic relations with this country, although the Turkish government formally recalls its ambassador last year for consultations. Turkish diplomatic missions in Tel Aviv remain open and operational. Similarly, Israel evacuated its embassy in Ankara last year, citing regional security threats. So, that's pretty much the point that I wanted to hit on, man, is, as Turkey's, separating themselves from these small hats, man. And the world sees the judgment that's getting ready to come upon these devils, man. All right? Let's get this in Numbers 24. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me get this in Obadiah first, and then we'll get that Numbers 24. Obadiah chapter 1, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And see, these other nations despise you Edomites, man. Specifically, America and those small hats. Really, the small hats has been made the forefront of the despised as of right now because of all the shit that's taking place. But America as well, because for the longest they've been, taking advantage of these other nations, and now not only has America still have their foot on the necks of these other nations, these heathen nations, but they also are backing up what the small hats are doing. Okay, so the Lord has made these devils despised amongst the heathen, man, and this is why you're starting to see these nations back themselves away from them, man. Because ultimately, they see what's getting ready to come. These nations are fed up, and they're all coming together. They're becoming confederate one with another now to eventually come up against this whore, man, which is America, and the beast, which is the Western nations, if you will. All right? To destroy them. And this is ultimately what's going to happen. This is Numbers chapter 24 and verse 20. Numbers 24 and 20, it says, and he looked on Amalek. He took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he shall perish forever, man. And this is why that land over there is going to get cleansed. completely cleansed. Right? Do they not call themselves doing that to other nations? Right? Cleansing them, going up in there, trying to completely destroy that current nation's way of life, change up their customs, and then set up garrisons to further terrorize those nations. Isn't that what the whore and these small hats have done? Isn't that what they're currently doing? Well, the nations are fed up, man. Therefore, the nations are mad. Okay, as the scripture go, man. And now that they've made themselves as despised as they have ever been, and it's only going to continue to grow, the nations despising America and these small hats, man, it's only going to get worse. This is hence why World War III is going to pop off. And the small hats are the main reason why, man. The scriptures talk about the least of them shall draw them out. Going into Amalek over there in the Middle East. The Amalekites. Okay? The ones that run the earth. Alright? The financial bankers. The central bankers of the earth. They're all of one particular nation. The nation of Amalek. The small hats. Okay? Those people are despised, man. And the nations are continuing, as you see Turkey doing so, man. So that's pretty much the point. The division that is being brought upon the earth and is becoming more and more evident, more and more clear what the Lord is doing on the earth, man. And once again, the division is going to continue to happen. You're going to continue to see nations cutting ties with the small hats in America, man. Even America's own allies are going to cut ties with her. From her. Alright? So, hey, Lord's Withers was edifying. I'm going to give all... Matter of fact, Salakia. Let me get this in Zephaniah, Salakia. Chapter 3, verse 8. Because this is what... We see all these things taking place, man, and this is why we have to remain patient and wait for the Lord, because the Lord is the one that's doing all these things, and eventually He's gonna bring about the downfall of these heathen nations that are over us, man. Because the Lord's gonna cause them all to shoot at one another, and then Yahushua is gonna set us up in our rightful places. So this is Zephaniah chapter 3, and verse 8, that's a lot, as I do this in transit. Zephaniah 3 and 8 says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey." You see? And the prey are these other nations, man. They've preyed on us, and the Lord has been preying on them. You see? This whole time, they thought they weren't being seen, at the things they were doing to us, but the Lord has been in the background watching them and setting them up, putting it in the minds of their leaders to do particular things on the earth to set them up for the last days, man. Okay? It says, "For my determination is to gather the nations," and that's what the Lord is doing. He's gathering the nations up for war. As the Lord is dividing them from each other, the Lord is also at the same time gathering them up for destruction, for war. "That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." And that's what we're going to see happen. The earth be devoured, the nations be devoured with the fire of the Lord's jealousy, man. Literally. Okay? And Yahushua, okay, the one that was put up on that cross, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, is going to be the one leading the charge. He's going to be the one that comes back to bring that fire, man. We read in Luke chapter 12 where he said, "Think ye that I'm come to bring peace on earth? I tell you nay, but rather division, man. What the hell does that tell you? You clowns don't understand what the hell you're talking about when you call yourself knowing the Lord, man. To what end is it to you? For the day of the Lord is darkness and not light, man. And we've yet to see the day of the Lord. But we're closely approaching, man. We're nigh at the door of the Lord's return. Okay? So, hey, Lord's will with that, this was edifying. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of the great millstone, and much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and this truth and sincerity. With that, I say shalom.